Now, earlier tonight, I was out for dinner with a few friends when the topic of AI came up, and they turned to me and said, "Nat Loss, what do you think of AI, right? Because you're a bit of a proponent of it, save your booze for later." And I said, I am, and yet, ironically, I don't really use AI much in my workflow. There is actually one thing I use AI for, and it's deep research. When I'm starting a topic, I just have either a few questions I want to make sure I'm remembering right, or maybe I just want to go and gather sources. So I fire off all these questions at once, and then Perplexity goes out and answers all of them over the course of 5 or 10 minutes while I do other shit. It saves me a bunch of time, especially considering the fact that Google is a decaying mess these days. With that in mind, my friend in response said, "Wow, it's sad to see this because research used to mean something. Not anyone could do it, but now anyone can. Any average Joe can." And you see, I lament that too. It is sad to see something that used to be an art, a skill, get cheapened to the point where any idiot could just fire off something and get a result that's somewhat comparable to what you could do, right? It is tragic to see something you got good at no longer be important. But, on the other hand, there's a lot to say here. I will just jump to the chase. I started thinking about my award-winning video a few videos ago about the rat race, and how everything's a goddamn rat race these days. And it is, yes. But it also got me thinking about the meritocracy. You see, that's a big virtue, and we all would like to think that that is what we should aim for as a society. But when it comes to a meritocracy, do we really want one? I know that's a bit of a jump from what I'm saying now, but I'll walk you through her in a sec, okay? We don't want one. You don't want one. You couldn't handle one. Now let me explain to you why. Because trust me, if you lived in a true meritocracy, you'd want to fucking cry. Because a meritocracy makes the rat race. Where to start? All right, let's start with AI because that was the instigator of the topic. Now, AI, you see, everyone loves to shit on it, say there's no artistic value, whatever, what have you. Go look at my last video, the one I put out on Gary's economics and all the UK situation. Holding a white monster, punching a hole in the wall, and then Duncan Clark was shocked and appalled next to me. Only that didn't happen because I can't afford to punch a hole in the wall in this economy. But more specifically, that type of art was not possible beforehand. I mean, it was, but do you think I got the money for 5-6 figures worth of VFX and bullshit? Hell no, I don't. The difference is I'm not going to pay for something, so therefore it doesn't get made. It's not like I am removing money from another creator. No, this just never would have been made. That is a value of AI. AI is the only thing that enabled this to happen. And I think you're going to see a lot more of this in the coming years. You just give it a start image and an end image, and it can kind of do the interpolation in between. I could envision a future of Family Guy cutaway gags, essentially. That's now possible. No one knows it yet, but I do. And soon enough, more people will too. But my point being is that AI clearly can enable a lot of creativity that was never possible before. You saw the same with digital artists, where when they came onto the scene, all of the traditional do-it-by-hand guys were like, "That's not real art, it's so cheap, it's derivative, fuck off." All right, it's real art too, and we all consider that these days, but back in the day, that was the evil AI of its day, right? We see, we always go through these different Luddite and neo-Luddite movements where the old guard is butthurt about their position no longer being a position to have. And it is tragic, because a lot of times that erosion, it doesn't get replaced. They are not wrong there, okay? There's a lot of loss that just is never made up for by these new technologies, but oftentimes a lot of technology enables shit in the first place. Like, do you think I'd seriously be able to post this shit on a broadcast network? Hell no, look at this shit. So AI clearly can have value, and it enables a lot of new creativity that was never possible before. But yet, at the same time, there's a lot of AI slop out there. I mean, look at all these channels. I love falling asleep to space facts at night, okay? John Michael Gaudier, the GOAT, okay? An absolute treasure. My favorite YouTuber, John Michael Gaudier. That guy is the platonic ideal of a sci-fi writer and thinker, okay? Futurologist, whatever you want to call him. But do you want to know how hard it is to find new John Michael Gaudiers these days? It's impossible, because that genre of space facts online to fall asleep to is overran by just a shit ton of AI slop. It's terrible. And it's coming for a lot of genres you may like too, right? It's not coming for me because I'm a bit too schizo for all that shit. They can't replicate this. But the point being is that there is a lot of downsides to AI as well. And that democratization of AI, the ability for any average Joe to create a space facts to fall asleep to type genre channel, that has ruined that genre to an extent. So there is a lot of loss to be had with a lot of these AI tools allowing any riffraff to make shit. Going back to my friend's point about the whole loss of value in research, I would say there's still a lot of value to be had because a lot of times there are places AI won't go to that is actually where the true interesting facts are. If you want a good channel that goes deep and finds some crazy shit that even in spite of all my years, I still am shocked by, Tor's Cabinets of Curiosities, another amazing creator, genuine treasure. If you're watching this, Tor, please come to Toronto. Point being there is that like AI can do the meh base level 80% of the way there kind of shit, right? And look, to be honest, a lot of that type of work was not the super valuable type of work, was it? When I'm editing, for example, do you think I'm sitting there thinking, wow, I'm really putting my all artistically into these goddamn cuts? Hell no, I hate that shit. It's like a data entry to your job. There's no thought, you just gotta mindlessly do. You're no better or different than an AI. Anyone who's sentient would never want to be subjected to such a job. And so with all that in mind, AI does seem to enable a lot of slop, but really what it's doing is just abstracting and automating away all of the bullshit that's inherent in a lot of creative or non-creative jobs out there. With all that in mind now, what really is being lamented here is not specifically that AI has cheapened it or that there's a bunch of idiots now flooding in. It's really that there's more competition. At the root of it, that's what people hate and fear. More competition. Because before, back in the old day, there was a lot more barriers to entry. Look at all the science jobs out there. Seriously, the amount of people I know who go through university, first you get your undergrad in, let's say, like chemistry or biology or whatever the fuck, physics, and you think, okay, now I can be a scientist. No, you can't. There's way too many of you. And that's the issue. Way more people want to be that than there are who can be that. There's way too few jobs and a shit ton of people. They think, oh, I'll get my undergrad in chemistry or physics, and then, oh, now I gotta get my master's, and then, oh, master's is, I wiped my master's apparently. Gotta get a PhD, and then, oh, a PhD also doesn't really do anything either. What am I doing with my life? I'm fucking 30 plus now, and I'm over 100K in debt, and I still gotta keep going. And also, again, if you do land one of these coveted few jobs in the sciences, do you know how much that shit pays? Like 30K a year. You're getting paid minimum wage or oftentimes less when you account for the amount of hours you gotta do. And the simple reason, again, is once more why it's all a rat race. All this meritocratic shit, if you look at every single person vying for those jobs, they are all usually stars. They are the cream of the crop, but the issue is there's way too much cream, way too many crops planted, and so you just have no value individually. You are interchangeable, because when everyone's great, no one's great. You're all just cogs. And so that's how, in another way, the meritocracy's ruined everything. You gotta get a 98 to get into university these days for a lot of programs. You go through that, and then you realize, again, somehow, you're still not good enough. And no matter if you're the cream of the crop, top of the class for whatever program, it just keeps going and going and going. And it's not just these public or quasi-public sort of jobs. Take lawyers, right? The issue with lawyers is God damn, I need water. Where'd I put my goddamn water? There it is, fuck. Now, lawyers are another profession that got plagued by this shit, right? Now, lawyers, the issue is that everyone and their dog wanted to become one because everyone's mom said, oh, wouldn't it be great to become a lawyer, right? Because culturally, there's a bit of cachet with law. Oh, my son's a lawyer. My nephew's a lawyer. You should be proud. That's very impressive. They must be a smart person. If you raise a kid to become a lawyer, therefore, that must reflect well on you. You must be implicitly smart too, right? And then on top of that, you got all these fucking movies and suits coming out glorifying law and not showing what the hellscape law actually is. And especially considering after an undergrad, a lot of people are like, I don't actually want to be an adult yet. I want to push that shit off for another few years. And so now, what do? Oh, I know, I'll take a law degree. I'll become a lawyer. And so you got all these people going in on one end, but they're getting squeezed on both sides, you see? Because on one hand, yeah, for every one articling associate job or whatever the hell, there's like 20 lawyers vying for it. But that is before the technological apocalypse that came upon that profession. Because there's a lot of case law that you'd have to review as an articling associate, for example. No longer, because even before AI, well before AI, there's stuff like West Wing, West Point, some shit like that for the States. I know there's one for Canada too. I forget the names of her, but I'll put her up. Anyway, those programs all basically eliminated 9/10 of the entry law jobs out there, right? Because at the end of the day, why do you need an army of humans when one guy with essentially a Google search for past case examples to argue for can do the same work, right? Like, it's just stupid. If you do the math here, you're looking at essentially 100x the competition per job. What's that do? Lawyers get paid dick all. If you are going into law, unless you plan to open your own legal firm after passing the bar, do not be doing that. Unless you come from money, do not be doing that. Law is no way to make a living these days. Point is that the legal profession is a lost cause, and that's just one of them, because at the end of the day, all it takes is a critical mass of people willing to do it all and keep pushing each other more and more, as long as I get to be the one who gets the job at the end of the tunnel, right? That's the issue. This whole meritocracy shit, it's great to espouse and believe, but as soon as there's a critical mass of people following along with the implications of that, now life sucks. Now everything sucks. Now you get no childhood. Now you get no young adulthood. Your 20s, kiss them goodbye. I hope you like staring at a screen. Not like you're gonna do much different anyway these days. But Jesus, you get no experiences in life. You basically must become a hollow husk of a human being to be able to succeed these days, because what you must sacrifice to actually win in the end is more and more every day. Like I said in my last rat race video, we're all hacking off fucking limbs here, and the reason why is because we must do it to survive and succeed. But again, if you look at the actual people this produces, the people who end up winning in the end, do you want to be winning this game? I mean, it's not about wants. A lot of you gotta, right? Especially in this economy. Like, Jesus, you gotta take what you get, and you gotta give up everything to get it. But that's just the issue. You must conform. If we have a pure meritocracy, this is the implication. This is the end result. This is what happens in a world where meritocracy reigns. Now we have work from home, which means work from anywhere. I know so many people living down in South America, and to be honest, if I had no business prospects, I was actually considering at one point, shortly before the business idea took off, I was considering going down to Bolivia and living in like La Paz or some shit like a goddamn king on my same salary from Toronto that I'm struggling to eke by on. And then on top of that, I'm banking like, 40, 50K a year right into the stock market. That's how you buy a home these days. But what does that do to the economy? What are you doing when you show up to Bolivia? It's okay if a few people do it, right? But as more and more people do, again, now you're pricing out the locals. You see everyone pissing blood, scream and go away all over the place these days, right? I mean, Christ, there's even a girl in the studio who's an American doing the same to Canada, because again, our Canadian dollar is trash. No one can afford shit. And so from her perspective, come from Miami, this shit's cheap as hell. And then we go do it. We go move to Porto or some shit, Portugal. We go to move to Spain. And now all those locals there are all brokies, like these foreigners, these expats, these whatever you want to call them. They're all taking all their apartment, raising the rent, and then they go and move somewhere else, and just it's a shit rolling downhill. Kind of just don't be caught at the bottom, okay? And the way to not be caught at the bottom is to piss off and do it to someone else. Price out the locals. 2025. It's a goddamn vibe, okay? It's what you got to be doing these days if you ever want to hope of affording a home anywhere. Hi, honey. Just watched your last video. Didn't understand it, but you looked handsome. Thanks, Mom. Yeah, price out the locals 2025. That's what we're all doing, okay? That's the year of ruining it for someone else, just not me, okay? That's what you got to do to afford a home. Oh, you want to go afford a home? Go flee your country, move across the globe for a decade and save up. And I don't know, what are they going to do? Do the same to someone else, okay? We're all running to a cheaper place to live, getting these remote jobs. But part of the issue there as well is that there's a lot more competition when you no longer are confined to your local geography, right? And now there's a lot of people who need that sort of connection to understand you're going to be competent, right? But you start to build up a reputation, a portfolio. Maybe you're doing some sort of like Upwork type shit where they can see your past performance and track record. Now, they can kind of be more sure on this bet. They're like, okay, I know this guy will perform somewhat competently. And so now, instead of just you or your country or your continent or even just your normal, the Anglosphere for English speakers doing English jobs, now you're competing again with the world. And the accent is going to help you. If you don't got an accent, if you speak like an Ontarian, the most generic American accent, that's why all these actors, by the way, in Hollywood are actually secretly Canadian. It's because we actually own the American accent. Well, not me. I mean, you see how I talk. But anyway, my point being is that if you got no accent and you speak generic and American, you're fine for now. But again, like as more and more people get to be trained, like look at the Philippines, it's 100 million people who speak pretty goddamn well. You see, all the modern media and globalization has allowed people to grow up learning and listening and speaking English. You look at GTA or something, or you got these cool movies. America's soft power through culture is unparalleled. And part of the issue with that is that everyone's fetishizing and trying to speak and become culturally American, which means that there's more and more competitors in the future, right? And so again, as borders come down and as people can work remotely, work from home, I love work from home. I am 10 times more productive working from home. You will never hear me shitting on that. And anytime an employee actually says that and then evidently doesn't start slacking off after a few months, they can work from home for the rest of their goddamn life for all I care. This isn't some power shit. Whatever makes you most productive is what I want you to do. And let's be real here, working from home is essentially like a soft 10 to 20K pay bump, because if you add up all the costs of commuting and just lunch and all this shit, it just adds up so quickly, right? And so all these different benefits, like I will never, ever be anti-work from home, but just I hope you know what the implication is, right? We're going to be under a meritocracy, and I just hope to God that you understand what this may mean for you. If not you, then your kids for sure, right? Because again, as we get more comfortable hiring and working with workforces that are deployed abroad, it's all downhill from here, essentially. So I guess this is a long meandering video because it just takes too long to do a lot of these research ones. Let me rant for a bit, okay? But the point of this story today is just that be careful what you wish for. And we like to talk and espouse a lot of big virtues about things like meritocracy, but just do you know where that shit leads? I don't think a lot of you do. And I think a lot of you are very confused and have a lot of your opinions backwards from where they should be if you do believe what you do, okay? Bye!